So next paper we are discussing 2012 very advanced paper 2 of chemistry. So this is paper 2 of 2012. First question is given NiCl2 pC2H5 volt twice C6H5 volt twice exhibits a temperature dependent paramagnetic behavior. That means it is either paramagnetic or diamagnetic, that depends on temperature. The coordination geometries of nickel in the paramagnetic and diamagnetic states are, so you know, that will be decided with the help of the form whether it is having unpaired electron or paired electron. So you can easily see that the oxidation state of nickel over here is +2. So as per configuration, it is organ TD8. It is organ 3D8. So there are two possibilities whether the electrons are paired or not paired. So one case when it is paired electron, then hybridization possible is DsP2, and when when unpaired electrons will be available, it will be sp3. So if it will undergo DsP2 configuration, then the D8 configuration will be like this. And when it is sp3 hybridization, then no pairing will take place and the configuration will be like this. So here geometry is square planar and diamagnetic, square planar and diamagnetic, and here it is tetrahedral and paramagnetic. The question is asked that for paramagnetic and diamagnetic geometries, diamagnetic case, you have to write the geometries. So you can simply write for paramagnetic it is tetrahedral, and for diamagnetic it is square planar. So as per this, options must be C correct. For paramagnetic geometry, it should be tetrahedral, and for diamagnetic geometry, it must be square planar. Easily predictable. Then question number 22 is given in the cyanide extraction process of silver from argentite ore. The oxidizing and reducing agents used are, so you know, in this case we use oxygen gas for oxidation process, and zinc for the reduction process of the metal. If you wish, you can write the complete equation. So if we write the complete equation, so it is Ag2S plus NaCN plus oxygen. So in this process, first it will oxidize to AgCN whole twice minus and SO2 gas. And further, this AgCN whole twice minus is reduced by zinc, forming silver and complex of zinc. So here oxidizing agent is oxygen and reducing agent used over here is zinc. So as per our given options, the answer must be B. Okay. Leaching process for silver metallurgy. Then question number 23. Just question number 23 is given the reaction of white phosphorus with NaOH gives a phosphine along with another phosphorus containing compound. The reaction type, the oxidation state of phosphorus, phosphorus and phosphine and other products respectively. So simply पहले आपको reaction लिखनी है. So white phosphorus when reacts with NaOH, the reaction is NaH2PO2 and phosphine. So if you balance the equation, this is the equation. And now if you will check oxidation state of phosphorus, this is +1 and -3, and this reaction is disproportional. So as per the given question, our answer must be disproportion, and oxidation states of phosphorus are -3 and +1. So in any of the option it was not given. That's why this was a bonus question for the paper in which 0 mark was awarded to everyone. Okay, whether you have marked the answer or not. So as per this given question, there is no correct answer. So IIT has made a judgment for this, 0 marks to all. This was the result. So definitely you should not kill your time in such type of questions. When you know sure that answer is not matching, then certainly either leave the question or mark the most appropriate one which you can. So either C or D you can mark in that state. But both were wrong, so it should not be in that way. So if you have to make this question correct, then either +5 or -3 should be made +1. इसमें वो correction करेंगे, वो answer सही हो जाएगा. Clear? Then question number 24 is given the shape of XeO2F2 molecule. So if you draw XeO2F2, it is xenon, which valence electrons are 8. Out of that, 4 electrons used by oxygen, 2 electrons used by chlorine, and 1 lone pair will be left. So its answer will be seesaw shape. If you draw the structure, it is 2 fluorine. And in this case, it is mandatory that fluorine must be on axial positions because more electronegative element prefers axial position and lower pair of electrons prefers equatorial position. So this is sp3t, 4 sigma bond 1 lone pair case, and case, and shape is seesaw. Very standard question. But for futuristic aspect, be very careful that in this structure, the fluorine must be at axial position, cannot be on equatorial position. You can't draw it like this. This is incorrect state structure. If you draw like this, then this is not correct. You can't do like this. I hope it is clear. Bends you all are aware of. So you can't draw like this. Clear? Then question number 25. It's given for a dilute solution containing 2.5 gram of a non-volatile non-electrolyte solute in 100 gram of water. The elevation and boiling point at 1 atmosphere pressure is 2 degrees Celsius. Assume that concentration of solute is much lower than the concentration of the solvent. The vapor pressure of the solution is. So basically qualitative property के लिए question है. सबसे पहले elevation and boiling point का formula लगाओ, delta TB equal to Kb into m. So delta TB is given to you 2, Kb is 0.76. Molality you have to calculate, so it's given 2.5 gram non-volatile solute. Molecular mass we don't know, so it's M1. This is the moles of solute present in 100 gram of water. So in 1000 it will be divided by 100 into 1000. From here, first we calculate molecular mass of the solute. From here we'll calculate molecular mass of solute M1 is equal to 0.76 into 2.5 by 2. Sorry, 25 by 2. This is 0.76 into 25 by 2. This is molecular mass of the solute. After that is given, assuming the concentration of the solute is much lower, means you have to consider it dilute aqueous solution. And it is asked that the vapor pressure of the solution. That means you have to write the formula. P naught minus Ps by Ps is equal to n by n. Assuming concentration of the solute to be much lower than the concentration of the solvent, the vapor pressure of the solution is so number of moles of solute by solvent you have to report, so that you can write simply, or this way, or when it is given dilute aqueous solution, so for you that you can write it as P naught minus Ps by P naught is also approximately equal to N by N. So instead of P naught, we can use 760 because we are setting the solution at its boiling point. So P naught is 760 mm of mercury. Ps you have to find out. You substitute the value, so it is 760 minus Ps by Ps. If you want to calculate it accurately, this must be equal to 2.55, 0.76 into 25 by 2, 0.76 into 25 by 2 divided by 100 by 18. We can solve from here Ps. You can solve the answer verify. If you solve it, it comes out to be 18 divided by 76 into 5. So from here, PS will come out to be 724 mm mercury. Okay. Clear? The solution has an elevation boiling point of 2 degrees Celsius. So for the same solution, we have to report the vapor pressure. So it must be 724 mm mercury because it is in the boiling state. That's why we'll consider vapor pressure of the solution solvent as 760 mm mercury. Pure water boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius, and at 100 degrees Celsius, boiling vapor pressure of pure water is 760 or 1 atmosphere. Because at boiling point, vapor pressure becomes equal to external pressure. Yeah. Then comes question number 26. It's given about that undergoes decarboxylation most rarely under the mild conditions. So we know in this condition the most appropriate answer is beta keto acids. Although decarboxylation heating is an important question, but first check we have to do is that we go for beta keto acids undergoes decarboxylation readily. So as is a single option correct question, we will simply check the beta keto acid. So this is carboxylic acid, this is alpha, this is beta. So this is beta keto acid, which undergoes decarboxylation most readily. Otherwise, in case of dicarboxylic acids, decarboxylation is possible when in between dicarboxylic acid, number of carbon atoms are you can say 0, 1, 4, and 5. Because in case of 2 and 3, dehydration takes place. So decarboxylation, dehydration, decarboxylation. This is the case of dicarboxylic acids. So you can check in first case number of carbon atoms in between are 1, 2, and 3. So dehydration. This is 1 and 2. This is also dehydration. And this is carboxylic acid. This is alpha, beta, gamma keto acid. So this is gamma keto acid. So no decarboxylation. This is gamma keto acid. In this case, dehydration will take place. In this case, also dehydration will take place. And beta keto acid undergoes decarboxylation most rarely. So for this question, your answer must be B. Okay. The next question number 27. Just a minute. So next question number 27. Even using the data provided, calculate the multiple bond energy of C triple bond C bond in C2H2. The energy, that energy is bond energy of CH is given, and another further data is given. So you can see in the first case, it's given 2 carbon solid plus hydrogen gases of C2H2. So it's a question of bond energy data. So for such questions, I have explained you a technique that follow with 2 columns. Absorbed energy in one column, released energy in another column. So here we are writing absorbed energy. In this column, we write the absorbed energy, and here we write the released energy. So you know from this reaction, first two carbon solids should be converted into two carbon gases. So first 4110 kilojoule energy will be absorbed. Then hydrogen gas atoms, gaseous atoms should be broken into two atoms. So for that it is 330 kilojoule energy needed. After that, in formation of C2H2 will take place, and the structure is this way. So bond energy of CH bond will release for 2 units, which is actually given 350 into 2. And bond energy of C triple bond C will also release, which you have to find out. And the question is given that enthalpy for this complete process is given plus 225 kilojoule per mole. So that means net energy is absorbed. That means absorb minus release will write. So 1410 plus 330 minus 350 into 2 minus bond energy of C triple bond C must be equal to 225. From here you solve bond enthalpy of C triple bond C. That will be your answer. Okay, solve it. It comes out to be 815 kilojoule per mole. This comes out to be 815 kilojoule per mole. So your answer will be D. Okay. Now move to question number 28. Question number 28, it's given the major product of the given reaction sequence. So in this reaction, you can see cyanide ion is given, which is a nucleophile first. And further, it is given hydrolysis along with the heat. We have 95% H2SO4 followed by heat. That means it can undergo dehydration because concentrated H2SO4 is strong dehydrating agent. And along with that, hydrolysis is also possible simultaneously. So what you do, you'll write step 1 first. So first step is nucleophilic attack. So this is COCH3, on which Cn minus will attack as a nucleophile, will convert to cyanohydrin formation. So this as a nucleophile will attack first, and we'll get CH3, CH2, CO minus, CH3 and Cl. After this, we are treating it with 95% H2SO4 with heat. So two processes will take place. Step 1, that Cn group will hydrolyze to carboxylic acid, and step 2, dehydration of alcohol will lead to a more stable alkene. So dehydration will lead to CH double bond C, CH3, and cyanide group will hydrolyze to C double bond H. So as per this given format, your answer must be A. Okay. For 28th question, we write the answer A. I hope it is clear because heat is given. So we'll definitely go elimination. Concentrated H2SO4 is given, which is strong dehydrating agent. So dehydration is also taking place. And cyanide group will certainly be hydrolyzed because the acidic medium water is present. Okay. So Cn group will convert to COH group, and OH group will eliminate dehydration of alcohol to give self-Chef product. The more stable alkene will be the product. Answer must be A. Okay. If we write the product, this is G and this is H. That's for the question. Then move to next question. Next question is when bleaching powder and bleach solution is produced on bleaching powder and bleach solutions are produced on a large scale and used for the several household products. The effective bleaching solution will often used to measure the iodometry. Bleaching powder contains a salt of an oxo acid is one of its components. The hydrate of this oxo acid, anhydrate of this oxo acid is. तो पहले आपको bleaching powder clear होना चाहिए. This is CaOCl2, which exists as Ca2 plus OCl minus and Cl minus. So if you write their acid form, it is HOCl and HCl. This is oxo acid. And if you write the anhydride of this, it will be Cl2O. Anhydride will be over here as Cl2O. So we write answer as A. Anhydride of this substance will be Cl2O. So answer must be A. Okay. And the next question, it is given iodometric calculation. It's given 25 ml of the high salt bleach solution was mixed with 30 ml of 0.5 m Ki and 10 ml of 4N acetic acid. In the titration, the iodide liberated iodine 48 ml of 0.25 and Na2H2O3 is used to reach to the end point. Polarity of household bleach is asked. So that means the process is over here is milliequivalents of hypo will be equal to milliequivalents of iodine, and this is actually equal to milliequivalents of what you will say bleaching powder simply, or better to say hypochlorite ion, and which is same as milliequivalents of bleach. This is the process. So milliequivalents of hypo, if I calculate, this is 48 into 0.25. This is 12. And milliequivalents of bleach, if I'll calculate, so this is 25 ml, molarity let's say M1, and N factor will be 2. Because as bleach will be used as an oxidizing agent, it will convert its oxidation state from -1 to, +1 to -1. The conversion will be, if you want to write the conversion, it is OCl minus to Cl minus. Oxidation state changes +1 to -1, so N factor is 2, which we have used over here. Okay, so now just equate the two terms. So your answer will be 50 M1 is equal to 12. So from here M1 will be 12 by 50, which is 0.24. So with the given options, the answer must be C. Okay, so answer over here is C. Yeah. So next question is question number 31. And 31 is given the electrochemical cell shown below is a concentration cell. M2 M2 plus saturated solution of sparingly soluble salt MX2. Another part is M2 plus 2M. The AMF of the cell depends on the difference of the concentration of M2 plus ion in the two electrodes. And the question is asked the solubility product KSP for MX2 based on the information available in the given concentration cell is. So देखो हमारे पास जो substance MX2 है, if you want its solubility product, so this is M2 plus 2X minus. So if solubility is S over here, this is 2S, so KSP will be equal to 4S cube. Okay. And as it is a concentration cell whose EMF is given, its EMF is given, so I can write the equation. M gives M2 plus 2 electron, this is oxidation, and this solubility is S. And at another electrode, it is M2 plus 2 electrons gives M solid, and this concentration is given 0.001. So if I write the complete cell equation, so it becomes M solid plus M2 plus aqueous gives again M solid plus M2 plus aqueous. It's a concentration cell. This solubility is S, this concentration is 0.001. So for this cell, number of cell electron exchange is 2 and Q value is S upon 0.001. Okay, so now if I write E cell equal to E naught cell for concentration cell is 0 minus 0.0591 by N. And the question is given 0.059 we have to take. So we will take it 0.0591 by 2 into log of S upon 0.001. And this E cell is given to us is 0.059 volt. This value is given 0.0591 volt, 0.059 volt. Okay. So if you equate the two terms, it becomes log of, you can write it as log of S upon 0.001 is equal to -2, or from here we can write S upon 0.001 is equal to 10 to the power -2. And from here we'll get solubility is 10 to the power -5 m, and KSP is given to you 4S cube. This comes out to be 4 into 10 to the power -15. So with this calculation, the given answer is B. So answer will be B for this question. Okay. So here only thing you have to take care is that for a concentration cell, E naught cell is 0, and you have to write the equations carefully. After that, solubility is 4s cube, that you can simply calculate. Now to the next question, the value of delta G for the given cell is, so we all know that delta G equal to minus NFE cell. We write the equation, it's delta G equal to minus NFE cell. So N is 2 over here, F is 96500, and E cell is given 0.059 volt. And this will give you delta G. Just simply calculate the value. It will give you value of delta G. Just calculation is there. So this comes out to be minus 11.4 kilojoule per mole. This much joules will be there. This is an SI scale. And if you solve it completely, this is 11.4 approx kilojoules per mole. This will be your answer. So from the given options, your answer must be D. Okay. Simple calculation, nothing else. And question number 33. 33 question is given the given sequence, the compound J is an intermediate. And the equation given, अगर आप ध्यान से देखो, you can easily notice that it is given acetic anhydride और ये उसी का salt है. ये कहीं ना कहीं Perkin reaction की hint दे रहा है मुझे. Further, if you check, it's given J gives effervescence on treatment with sodium bicarbonate and Pauster's bias test. This confirms that it is certainly cinnamic acid, because bicarbonate test is test of carboxylic acid. This is test of COH group, and this is test of pi bond. So somehow Perkin reaction का clue मुझे reagent से भी पता चल रहा है, और product भी कहीं ना कहीं support कर रहा है कि carboxylic acid group और alkene group मिल रहा है. It simply confirms that compound J जो है वो cinnamic acid जैसा compound होना चाहिए. तो starting compound A जो है वो हम लोग benzaldehyde से try कर सकते हैं. तो अब given option से शुरू किया जाए, तो अगर सिर्फ clue से चलना है तो हमने I कंपाउंड जो है वो बेंजाल्डिहाइड लिया हुआ है, और दो ऑप्शन ए भी वही गिवन है, उसी से ट्राई कर रहा हूँ. इसके ऊपर हमने परकिंस रिएक्शन परफॉर्म करी है, CH3COO एंड CH3CONA. दिस इज परकिंस रिएक्शन. कौन सा पता है आपको? एसिटिक एनहाइड्रेट से कार्बोनाइन बना के बेंजाल्डिहाइड के ऊपर अटैक कराएंगे, बाद में हाइड्रोलाइज एंड ऑल पूरा प्रोसेस फॉलो करने के बाद दिस बेसिकली कन्वर्ट्स टू सिनेमिक एसिड, C6H5CH डबल बॉन्ड CH तो देखो यहाँ से टेस्ट ऑफ कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड भी आ रहा है और टेस्ट ऑफ अनसैचुरेशन भी आ रहा है. तो इट कंफर्म्स दैट दिस कंपाउंड इज J. ठीक है, अब आगे की क्लूज और फिट करेंगे तो बाकी चीजें क्लिक कर जाएंगे. दिस कंपाउंड इज J एंड J इज गिविंग बोथ टेस्ट पॉजिटिव, व्हिच कंफर्म्स दैट आवर कंपाउंड I मस्ट बी बेंजाल्डिहाइड. तो हमारे आगे की रिएक्शन से ये चीज वेरीफाई हो जा रही है. दैट मींस विद द गिवन ऑप्शन I आंसर मस्ट बी A. सो आंसर ओवर हियर इज A. क्लियर? इसके बाद आगे अगर हम J की रिएक्शन देखेंगे तो हाइड्रोजन पैलेडियम कार्बन से रिडक्शन हुआ, डबल बॉन्ड सिंगल बॉन्ड में कन्वर्ट हुआ. SOCl2 की रिएक्शन हमने CH3COH ग्रुप से कराएंगे तो COCl बनेगा, और उसके बाद सिंपली फ्रिडलक्राफ्ट एसाइलेशन रिएक्शन वर्कआउट करी गई है. तो आगे का स्टेप अगर मुझे लिखना है तो कंपाउंड K पूछा गया आपसे, तो आप आसानी से बता सकते हो. वी हैव स्टार्टिंग कंपाउंड सिनेमिक एसिड C6H5CH डबल बॉन्ड CH इसका पैलेडियम कार्बन से पहले रिडक्शन हुआ है, तो सिंपली CH2COOH बन जाएगा. उसके बाद SOCl2 से रिएक्शन कराया तो COH ग्रुप COCl में कन्वर्ट हुआ. सो दिस विल लुक लाइक C6H5, ये दो कार्बन हुए और ये COCl हो गया. और इसके बाद आपने एनहाइड्रस AlCl3 से रिएक्शन कराई. So anhydrous AlCl3 will lead to Friedel-Crafts acylation. So type of reaction will be Friedel-Crafts acylation, and this Friedel-Crafts acylation will give you the final product as options C, I think. इनको ड्रॉ करिए फिर पता चलेगा. तो ये बेंजीन रिंग हुई और ये 5 मेंबर की रिंग कनेक्ट हो गई, यहाँ C डबल बॉन्ड ग्रुप आ जाएगा. So with the given options, your answer is C. So टाइप ऑफ रिएक्शन क्लिक करनी चाहिए। अगर आप क्लूज ऑफ रिएक्शन जल्दी पिक करेंगे तो यू कैन सॉल्व इट क्विकली। आप मैकेनिज्म लिखना चाहते हो तो पार्किंस रिएक्शन का प्रॉपर मैकेनिज्म भी लिख सकते हो, दैट इज अप टू यू। अगर आप चाहो तो पूरी मैकेनिज्म लिख सकते हो, अदरवाइज सिंपल क्लू था जो मैंने आपको सबसे पहले पहचानते हुए बताया। अगर किसी केमिकल रिएक्शन में एसिड एनहाइड्रेट और उसी का सॉल्ट दिया जाए तो कहीं हद तक पार्किंस रिएक्शन को क्लू देता है। तो अगर आप पूरा मैकेनिज्म लिखना चाहते हो तो यू मे राइट, इट्स अप टू यू। ये कंपाउंड है, इसकी रिएक्शन CH3CONA विच इज बेस उससे कराया, ये कार्बन आयन बना CH2 C डबल बॉन्ड हो, वो C डबल बॉन्ड हो CH3। अभी आप क्वेश्चन में देखोगे तो रिएजेंट्स भी शॉर्ट है, बट उतना हम अज्यूम करके, क्योंकि दिस इज अ पैराग्राफ बेस्ड क्वेश्चन जहाँ पे आगे की रिएक्शन ड्रिवन से हमें रिएजेंट प्रेडिक्ट करने होते हैं। तो यहाँ पे आप देखो तो ये न्यूक्लियोफिलिक अटैक हो रहा है सीधे सीधे, ये कार्बन आयन ने इस साइड पर अटैक करके पाई बॉन्ड इधर शिफ्ट किया। सो इन द फर्स्ट स्टेप वील गेट C6H5 CHOH CH2 C डबल बॉन्ड O, वो C डबल बॉन्ड O CH3। इसके बाद इसको हीट करेंगे तो डिहाइड्रेशन, वाटर एलिमिनेट कर जाएगा, सो इट विल कन्वर्ट टू CH डबल बॉन्ड CH COO CO CH3। और इसके बाद इसकी एसिडिक मीडियम हाइड्रोलिसिस करा दो, देन यू विल फाइनली रीच टू सिनेमिक एसिड। इसकी हाइड्रोलिसिस कराएंगे तो विल फाइनली रीच टू सिनेमिक एसिड CH डबल बॉन्ड CH COH। टेस्ट से ये चीज़ हमें पता चल रही थी, इट कंटेन्स कार्बोक्सिलिक एसिड एंड पाई बॉन्ड। हमने आसानी से प्रेडिक्ट कर लिया कि J जो है वो सिनेमिक एसिड है, दिस कंपाउंड इज सिनेमिक एसिड व्हिच इज योर J। मैकेनिज्म भी देख सकते हैं फ्यूचरिस्टिक एंगल से, बट क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करने के लिए आपको इमीडिएटली क्लिक करना चाहिए था दैट दिस कंपाउंड इज सिनेमिक एसिड, और फिर आगे के रिएक्शन इजीली वर्कआउट कर जाते हैं। एंड सेकंड स्टेप में प्रेडिल ग्राफ एसाइलेशन परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं, जिससे हम इसके फाइनल आंसर सी पे पहुंच गए। इज दैट ओके? Now move to next question. This is question number 35. So in this question, it's given the reversible expansion of an ideal gas under adiabatic and isothermal condition as shown in the figure. Correct statement you have to find out. So first time you will see that first process is isothermal. Isothermal means temperature is constant. So we can certainly say that T1 equal to T2. Because this process is isothermal, so initial and final temperature must be same. T1 equal to T2. Second possibility is that from another path we are going with the adiabatic process. So you can see this is adiabatic expansion. So adiabatic expansion, that means work done by the system. So it will be on the cost of internal energy. Adiabatic expansion hai, so it means it will lead to work done by the system. And you know in adiabatic process we are not supplying any heat. So if it is work done by the system, it will be on the cost of internal energy. And if it is on the cost of internal energy, that means internal energy will decrease. If internal energy decreases, that means temperature will decrease. If temperature decreases means T3 will be certainly less than T1. So option B is incorrect. Now you have to check work done for isothermal process and adiabatic process. So you can see it is work done by the system in both the process because it is expansion. So if it is work done by the system, then in chemistry we know it will be negative. And by graph we can say modulus value of work done of isothermal process is certainly greater than mod value of work done of adiabatic process. And as both the values are negative, so work done in adiabatic process will be certainly greater than isothermal process. So answer C is also incorrect. Although in this case, IIT has given margin to the students, because if you compare with the mod value, then work done of isothermal process is more than that of adiabatic process. So IIT has given a margin with the student. Those who have written answer C correct, they have also got the mark, and those who have left option C, they have also got the mark. Otherwise, from futuristic angle, we should be very much clear. If this question will be in physics paper, then option C is written correct, because their work done by the system is positive. In chemistry, according to a chemistry conversion, work done by the system is negative. So modulus value of isothermal process is certainly greater than adiabatic process because area under the curve is more. But as the sign is negative, so value like actual with sign, if you compare, work done in adiabatic process more than that of isothermal process. And then in the same process, isothermal process, internal energy change is 0, and whereas in adiabatic process, change in internal energy is negative, certainly 0 is greater than negative, so answer will be T over here. So for this question, the answer is A and D. Although if IIT has given liberty to the students with because of a sign convention, different sign convention of physics, so in that case, they have given the answer ACD also. Otherwise, perfect answer for this question with respect to chemistry is A and D. Okay, D option is clear because isothermal process internal energy change is 0, whereas it is negative because decrease of internal energy is noticed for adiabatic process. So delta U isothermal is 0. Delta U isothermal value is 0, whereas delta U adiabatic is negative. So option D is correct. Clear? Now next question is with respect to adsorption. It's given plots of 1, 2, 3, 4 represents a general trend towards the different physisorption, chemisorption under the mild conditions of temperature and pressure. Which one is correct? So now you can see in the first plot at constant pressure plot is given and with the temperature, so that means it is isotherm. And here you can see that on increasing temperature, adsorption is decreasing. So that means it is physical adsorption. This is physical adsorption. Next case, if I'll see where pressure is constant and on increasing temperature, adsorption is increasing. So that means it is chemical adsorption. In third option, you can also see again, we are plotting amount of gas with respect to pressure. Amount of gas with respect to pressure, and you can easily notice that at 250 Kelvin adsorption is less, 200 Kelvin adsorption is more. Means temperature increasing, adsorption decreases. So this is also case of physical adsorption. And the fourth option is given potential energy versus the distance plot, and you can see that enthalpy of adsorption is 150 kilojoule per mole, which is in between 80 and 240 kilojoule per mole. So which implies chemical adsorption. Because in case of physical adsorption, this value is too low and it ranges from 20 to 40 kilojoule per mole, but here it is 80 to 240 kilojoule per mole. That means it is chemical adsorption. Now you can easily mark the options. First one is physical adsorption, 2 is chemical adsorption, correct. First one is physical adsorption, 3 is chemical adsorption, wrong. Fourth one is chemical adsorption and second one is chemical adsorption, correct. And then fourth is chemical adsorption, 3 is chemical adsorption, incorrect. So according to answers, according to options, the answer must be A and C. So your answer is A and C. Okay. Move to next question. Question number 37. It's given for the given aqueous reaction, which of the following statement is true? We have treated Ki with excess of Ki with K3 FeCN6, and with presence of dilute SO4, we got brownish yellow solution. And then we have treated with the zinc, we have got white precipitate and brownish yellow filtrate, which further treated with Na2H2O3, we got colorless solution. So आपको क्लू थोड़ा मिलना चाहिए. जो ब्राउनिश येलो फिल्ट्रेट आ रहा है वो कहीं ना कहीं Ki3 है, बिकॉज Ki3 जो है वो येलो शेड होती है और आयोडीन जो है Na2H2O3 से रिएक्ट कर जाएगी, तो फाइनली कंज्यूम होने के बाद कलरलेस सोल्यूशन बनेगा, क्योंकि Ki सोल्यूशन बनेगा. एंड अदर वे अराउंड यू कैन सी कि एक्सेस ऑफ Ki लिखा है, इससे येलो कलर के क्लू मिलता है. बाकी K3 FeCN6 में आयरन ऑक्सीजन स्टेट इज +3 and we are using Ki. So K3 FeCN6 will reduce to K4 FeCN6 and will oxidize Ki to iodine, and with excess Ki it will react and will form Ki3. तो उससे पहले मैं थोड़ा सबसे पहले जो क्लू मिल रहा है रिएक्शंस का वो मैं लिखता हूँ. तो फर्स्ट क्लू इज K3 FeCN6. So this is a kind of redox reaction with iodine +3 oxygen state. Will react with Ki, will form K4 FeCN6. Here oxygen state of iodine is +2, and along with this iodine is formed. But as Ki is given excess, so if these two will react further, will form Ki3. So this is a yellow solution. Okay. So the question is given brownish yellow solution with excess. Now when you treat it with again zinc sulfate, so zinc sulfate will react with this substance, will form white precipitate of zinc ferrocyanide. So it is Zn2 FeCN6. This is the white precipitate actually. And brownish yellow filtrate is for the same Ki3. And when you treat this Ki3 with hypo solution Na2H2O3, then you know Na2H2O3 reacts with iodine to form Na2H4O6 again, and it will convert to Ki solution. Like this we can write. It will convert to NaI or KI, so that mixture can be written. You may write for the K plus also. So this is the product possible. Okay. So now check out with the options. It's given that first reaction is redox reaction, correct? First reaction is redox reaction, correct? Okay. Because you can see the redox reaction because oxygen state of iodine changes from -1 to 0, and Fe3 plus reduced to Fe2 plus. So it's a redox reaction. That's the option one correct. Second option is white precipitate is Zn3 FeCN6. Incorrect okay, because white precipitate is because of this substance. So option B incorrect. Option C is given addition of filtrate to starch solution gives blue color. That is true. Because starch will react with iodine to the blue coloration. Starch with iodine gives blue. So that is correct. White precipitate is soluble in NaOH solution. White precipitate is soluble in NaOH solution. That is also correct because Zn2 plus is soluble in NaOH. Will form sodium zincate. So white precipitate formed is Zn2 FeCN6. If you treat it with excess of NaOH, then it will form Na4 FeCN6 plus Na2ZnO2, sodium zincate. So if you balance it is 6 NaOH and Na2 is not even 6, it's 8 basically. So it is 8 NaOH, 2 times Na2ZnO2. And plus 4 units of water. You can see it is balanced. So this is sodium zincate soluble complex. This one is sodium zincate. Sodium zincate. So option B is incorrect. Other than that, all options are correct. So your answer must be A, C, and D. Okay. Answer must be A, C, and D. I hope clear to you. Now next question is question number 38. 38 is given with respect to graphite and diamond. Which of the statement are given are correct? Graphite is harder than diamond. Incorrect. Hardness में diamond ज़्यादा होता है. So hardness of diamond more. Tetrahedral sp3 arrangement होता है. Graphite has higher electrical conductivity than diamond. That is also correct. Graphite has high electron density. Because of that, it is good conductor of electricity. Good conductor of electricity. Next option is graphite has higher thermal conductivity than diamond. ये incorrect हो गया. Diamond की thermal conductivity ज़्यादा होती है because it's more compact structure. कार्बन एटम वाइब्रेशन के थ्रू एक दूसरे के कांटेक्ट में आ जा रहे हैं जिससे हीट कंडक्टिविटी हो पा रही है. So diamond is good conductor of heat. Good conductor of heat. That's why it's a very good question. Majority of students had based this option wrong because they haven't gone through it clearly. Diamond is a good conductor of heat, poor conductor of electricity. Graphite is good conductor of electricity, poor conductor of heat. And graphite has higher CC bond order than diamond. This is correct because in graphite, carbon is sp2 hybridized. You have double bond character. So bond strength, or you can say bond order is higher, because in diamond it is sp3 hybridized. Diamond carbon is sp3 hybridized, तो सिंगल बॉन्ड करेक्टर होगा, बॉन्ड ऑर्डर कम आएगा. So options if you check, so option A is correct. Sorry, option B is correct. Graphite has hardest diamond is low. So answer B is correct and D is correct. This answer must be B and D. Okay. So the next question. This is question number 39. In 39th question it is given, with respect to the scheme given, which of the following statement about P, U, V and W are correct? You can see the compound we have ester, which is treated with NiNH4. So NiNH4 will reduce ester to alcohol. So first you write down compound T, compound U. So compound U after reduction will get the CH2OH, and here it will be CH2OH in this carbon CH3 there. This will be the structure of U. And after this U, we have treated with CrO3H plus. We have treated U with CrO3H plus, and other way around we have treated with excess of anhydride, acetic anhydride. So acetic anhydride reacts with alcohol, so it will convert to OCO-CH3 group. This is CH3, C double bond O, C double bond O, CH3. 2 moles will be consumed over here, although in the question it's given excess, so there is no problem. So this final product will be OAC. This is also OAC, like this. And if you oxidize this substance, CrO3H plus, so alcohol will convert to carboxylic acid group. So another reaction, if I'll write, it is this the reactant. It's treated with CrO3H plus. So both the alcoholic group will oxidize to carboxylic acid group. So it will be COH and COH. This is CH3, so this is the E. These are your final products. Not even tea is soluble in hot NaOH solution. That is true, because when you light hot NaOH solution, it will undergo hydrolysis, and by hydrolysis, it will become soluble. So this is the given compound. So when it is treated with NaOH, it will convert to this one is COO minus, and so this is COO minus, and here this becomes OH. This is COO minus, and this is CH3. So this is soluble. So T is soluble in hot aqueous NaOH, correct. U is optically active. This becomes incorrect, because in case of U, you can see these two valencies are same. This is CH2OH. This is CH2CH2OH. Same valency. Both sides CH2CH2OH there, so both the valencies are same. So it contains planometry, optically inactive. So B is incorrect. So this is optically inactive. Optically inactive. Molecular formula of W is C10H18O4. That we have to check. So carbon becomes 10, that is correct. Oxygen becomes 4, that is also correct. So that means C is also correct. And V gives effervescence on treatment with NaHCO3, that is also correct, because this is carboxylic acid group. If you treat it with NaHCO3, you get CO3. So answer will be A, C, and D. Answer for this question is A, C, and D. B is incorrect over here. That you can see easily because compound U has two same valencies, so it has no parallel center. Yeah. Now to the last question of this series. This is question number 40. It's given which of the given statement about NOPQ with respect to M is are correct. So you have to compare these conformers, which are same, which are different, which are enantiomer and all that. So it will be good if we'll compare it with the what you'll say similar type of arrangements or similar type of configurations. In the first question is given M and N are non-mirror image stereoisomers. M and N are non-mirror image stereoisomers. So first step you can see easily in the compound M, both are at same site and other valencies are different, so there is no chance of plane of symmetry. While in the other case, option N, in the case of option N, if I'll write, so they are not actually mirror images. So if I write N over here, so for structure of N, if I try to take both the OH on the same side, then only we can compare. Or you can easily compare. This is H, this is OH, and this is U. You can see with respect to M and N, there are two changes. Change number one is this, that if I say this is first carbon, this is second carbon. So in this structure, this is first, this is second. So first of all, these carbon atoms are different. Okay. So to read this question, it will be good if I go with the RS nomenclature. That will help me to solve this question quickly. Otherwise, carbon is different, so it's difficult to compare them. So better size is we'll convert M and O in their corresponding units very easily. That we'll do at the later stage, but first we can compare for M, N, and O. We can compare them through RS nomenclature. That will be much safer side. So just have a look for this carbon. You can see the configuration with respect to different valencies. So I can say that this is priority number 1, this is oxygen, and this one will be priority number 2 because carbon with fluorine. This is priority number 3. So priority 1 to 2 moving towards 3 is this sense of rotation. Whereas for H, OH, and Cl, just sense of rotation will check, that is enough. So for other case, it is high top valency. This is Cl number 1. This is oxygen number 2, and this is carbon number 3. So now if you will move one, so you write the RS configuration for all this. So first one, if I draw, I'm writing Fisher at the same time in the structure. So this is position number 1, this is position number 4, this is position 2, this is position 2. So 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 की तरफ जा रहे हैं, sense of rotation clockwise. So this configuration is because H is at horizontal position. बैक वाले कार्बन को चेक करेंगे तो in that case we can write this as this way. So write the positions. तो अगर हम इसको रोटेट करके बनाए पीछे वाले साइड, so you can write it like this. This Cl आप ऊपर लेके आओ, इस साइड में OH आएगा, इधर वाली साइड, इस साइड में आपका H आएगा, इस साइड इट विल बी OH और ये सामने वाली वैलेंसी है। उसको वो प्रेशर पे दिखाएंगे तो दिस इज पोजीशन नंबर 1, Cl नंबर 1 का आएगा, OH number 2 priority, so it will be on this side. HL priority number 4, this is position number 3. Okay. So now if we move 1, 2, 2, 3, in the sense of rotation clockwise, so this configuration is S. Okay. Next case में आओ, उसका configuration बनाएंगे इधर पे. So Cl bottom position 1, OH left position 2, second position, third position is carbon chain, and fourth position is H. So 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 की तरफ जा रहा है, sense of rotation is anti-clockwise sense, so must be R, but actually R is in position number 4, so we write it as R. Anti-clockwise sense है, S होना चाहिए था, but H horizontal पर 4 R लिखेंगे. ऊपर वाले केस में फिर से इसको रोटेट करके सेट करोगे, तो फिर से पोजीशन मार्क करो, तो इसमें OH पोजीशन 1, दिस कार्बन पोजीशन 2, CH3 4, HS4 और CH3 is 3, HS4. इस पोजीशन को भी अगर हम रोटेट करके बनाएं तो CH3 पोजीशन नंबर 3 सबसे ऊपर आ रहा है, CH3 पोजीशन नंबर 3 is at top. तो घुमा के लाएंगे तो OH will be right side, so 1, this is 4, this is position number 2. फिर से देखो 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 की तरफ जा रहा है, sense of rotation is clockwise, so we must write this configuration as R, but as position is on horizontal position, so we write this configuration as S. Okay. Now the third case में भी फिर से configuration लिखें तो OH position 1, other group position 2, H position 4, CH3 position 3. तो 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 की तरफ जा रहा है, clockwise sense. So configuration is R, but we will write S because H is on horizontal position, so this configuration is S. Then back side वाला कार्बन चेक करेंगे तो Cl at position 1 top, OH at position number 2, carbon chain position 3, H is at carbon chain is at bottom. That is position number 3 and H is at position number 4 horizontal. This is the case. If you move 1 to 2 via 1 to 3 via 2, so sense of rotation is clockwise R, but H is on horizontal, so we'll write S. So this configuration is SS. Okay. After that we have two Newman's projection. So we'll convert them to also Fisher's projection, and then again we'll write their RS because without that it cannot be decided that which configuration is this. तो मैं इनके लिए फटाफट पहले फिशर बना रहा हूँ. तो if I write the Fisher projection, तो आपको याद होगा मैंने बोला था कि दोनों Y बना के बनाते हैं. तो दिस इज वन Y, दिस इज अनदर Y. पीछे वाले कार्बन को देख के अगर हम मैच करा दें तो दिस इज H, OH एंड Cl बैक कार्बन. उसको रोटेट करके देख लो तो H के सामने CH3 आएगा एंड Cl के सामने OH आएगा और OH के ऊपर H आएगा. दिस विल बी द कॉन्फिगरेशन. अब इसके लिए आप फटाफट RS लिख डालो. तो फ्रंट कार्बन का R S लिखेंगे तो दिस इज पोजीशन नंबर 1, कार्बन चेन इज पोजीशन नंबर 2, H पोजीशन 4, CH3 पोजीशन नंबर 3. तो 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 जाना है. दिस इज द सेंस ऑफ रोटेशन. द सेंस ऑफ रोटेशन इज एंटी क्लॉकवाइज, so configuration must be S, but as H is on horizontal position, so this configuration is R. बैक कार्बन अगर हम ड्रॉ कर रहे हैं इधर पीछे, तो बैक कार्बन में Cl at position 1, this is position 1, this is position 2, कार्बन चेन position 3, हाइड्रोजन position 4. उसको रोटेट करके ऊपर ले जाऊँ तो Cl को ऊपर लेके आ रहा हूँ, पोजीशन नंबर 4 और 1 ऊपर कर लिया आपने. तो उससे 2 पोजीशन जो इधर आएगी, 4 पोजीशन इधर आएगी और 3 पोजीशन इधर आएगी. तो 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 तक जा रहा है. सेंस ऑफ रोटेशन एंटी क्लॉकवाइज, and as sense of rotation is anti-clockwise, so it must be S, but as per the given case H is at horizontal position, so this configuration is also R. इस वाले Q वाले कार्बन को अगर हम बनाए तो check this option Q now. Q के लिए भी सेम, पहले दोनों Y बना लीजिए. पीछे वाले कार्बन को मैंने एज इट इज कॉपी किया, OH, H एंड Cl. इसके बाद OH के सामने CH3 आएगा, फिर Cl के सामने OH आएगा और H के ऊपर H होगा. दिस इज द केस. फ्रंट कार्बन का फिर से कॉन्फ़िगरेशन मार्क करते हैं हम. यहाँ OH position 1, carbon chain position 2, so CH3 4, OH is, CH3 is 3, H is 4. So if I write the configurations now in this Fisher form, this is 1, and this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 की तरफ जाना है. Center of rotation is anti-clockwise, so S, but H horizontal पे तो उसको R configuration लिखेंगे. ओके, उसके बाद इसी तरीके से बैक कार्बन अगर हम ड्रॉ करेंगे तो बैक कार्बन पे भी ध्यान से देखो. तो बैक कार्बन पे Cl नंबरिंग पहले मार्क कर रहा हूँ. तो Cl पोजीशन नंबर 1, OH पोजीशन 2, कार्बन चेन पोजीशन 3, H पोजीशन 4. मैंने Cl सबसे ऊपर टॉप पे बना लिया पहले. इसके बाद 4 इधर आ जाएगा, 2 इधर आ जाएगा और 3 नीचे. 1 से 2 होते हुए 3 की तरफ जा रहा है. सेंटर ऑफ रोटेशन क्लॉकवाइज, सो R, as H is on horizontal position, so it is S. सबसे पहले देखो मैंने सब RS मार्क कर दिया. अब इन सबकी पहले पोजीशंस अगर आप यहाँ मार्क कर लो अपने ओरिजिनल स्ट्रक्चर पे, तो फिर आप आसानी से सारे आंसर लिख पाओगे. तो पहले कॉन्फ़िगरेशन के हिसाब से जो हमारा कॉन्फ़िगरेशन है, कॉन्फ़िगरेशन ऑफ M is actually SS. This configuration is, this is also S. For N, the configuration is basically R and S. So this configuration is R, this is S. For O, the configuration is both S. In case of M, configuration of front carbon is R and back carbon is also R. So both the configurations are RR over here. So R and R. And for Q, if I write, the front carbon is R, back carbon is S. So for Q, front carbon R, back carbon S. ये configuration बना के सेट. ठीक है, आप चेक करो. पहले ऑप्शन लिखा है M and N are नॉन मिरर इमेजेस. पहले मैंने ट्राई किया है स्ट्रक्चर को मॉडिफाई करके आंसर लिखूं, but that is difficult because 5 स्ट्रक्चर्स हैं और सब कॉन्फ़िगरेशन लिखें तो ऐसे केस में गलती होने की प्रोबेबिलिटी हायर हो जाती है. तो सेफ साइड इज दैट यू राइट RS configuration first, then it becomes quite safe to answer. So now we'll check. It's given M and N are non-mirror image stereoisomer. That is correct because SS का mirror image RR होगा और RS का mirror image SS होगा. तो इसका मतलब M and N जो है वो diastereomers. You know, पहले केस में बताया गया. So M and N are diastereomers. That means non-superimposable mirror images. Diastereomers. That is A is correct. M and O are identical. Configuration से मैच कर रहा है. Both are S. SS एक दूसरे के लिए identical. M and P are enantiomers. ये भी सही है. S की mirror image R, R की S की mirror image R, तो SS का RR जो है वो enantiomer हो जाएगा. तो M and P are enantiomer, ये भी ठीक है. And M and Q are identical. ये गलत हो गया because M में SS फॉर्म है और Q फॉर्म RS फॉर्म है. So that is not certainly matching. M and Q are same. अगर ध्यान से देखोगे तो उसके हिसाब से A, B, C आंसर करेक्ट हो गया. So the right answer for this question is A, B, C. Answer for this question is A, B, C. So this completes your paper.